right? So can we remain Krishna conscious when we go into college? It's not two separate worlds. There's this world chanting mantras, Hare Krishna, and then there's this whole other world, like different ideas going on, and it's two separate worlds, right? No. There's a way to connect it all. Okay. I'm going to read you a verse from the prayers Narada Muni gives. And in this verse, it's 1:522. Shall we look at it? I'll say, please repeat. Idam hi pumsas tapasa shutasya va shwishtasya suktasya cha buddhi dattayo avichutorta kavibhirana rupato yadutama shloka gunarnavarnanam. And the translation: learned circles have positively concluded that the infallible purpose of the advancement of knowledge, namely austerities, study of the Vedas, sacrifice, chanting of hymns, and charity, culminates in the transcendental descriptions of the Lord who is defined in choice poetry. Gita Priya, could you read the purport for us, please?
Human intellect is developed for advancement of learning in art, science, philosophy, physics, chemistry, psychology, economics, politics, etc.
Read the list again, really slow.
Okay. Art, science...
No, human, do the whole sentence.
Human intellect is developed for advancement of learning in art, science, philosophy, physics, chemistry, psychology, economics, politics, etc.
Who here is going to major in science? Maybe. How about philosophy? How about physics? Chemistry? Psychology? 1, 2? Srivata? Okay. Gita Priya and Srivata are going to be our psychologists. We should have a little booth out there. 5 cents. The doctor is in. Okay, how about economics? Yeah? You're going in economics? Wow. Okay. How about politics? Where's Bhumi? She's going into politics, right? No? Okay. How about etc.? Anyone? What are you studying? Computer science. Okay. So because of the etc., it's on the list. Good, right? Okay. Go ahead. Do the sentence. Take it from the top.
Human intellect is developed for advancement of learning in art, science, philosophy, physics, chemistry, psychology, economics, politics, etc. By culture of such knowledge, the human society can attain perfection for life. This perfection of life culminates in the realization of the Supreme Being, Vishnu. The Shruti therefore directs that those who are actually advanced in learning should aspire for the service of Lord Vishnu. Unfortunately, persons who are enamored by the external beauty of Vishnu Maya do not understand that culmination of perfection or self-realization depends on Vishnu. Vishnu Maya means sense enjoyment, which is transient and miserable. Those who are entrapped by Vishnu Maya utilize advancement of knowledge for sense enjoyment. Sri Narada Muni has explained that all paraphernalia of the cosmic universe is but an emanation from the Lord out of his different energies, because the Lord has set in motion by his inconceivable mercy and energy the actions and reactions of the created manifestation. They have come to be out of his energy, they rest on his energy, and after annihilation, they merge into him. Nothing is, therefore, different from him, but at the same time, the Lord is always different from them. Okay. When advancement of knowledge is applied in the service of the Lord, the whole process becomes absolute.
Read that again.
When advancement of knowledge is applied in the service of the Lord, the whole process becomes absolute. The personality of Godhead and his transcendental name, fame, glory, etc. are all non-different from him. Therefore, all the sages and devotees of the Lord have recommended that the subject matter of art, science, philosophy, physics, chemistry, psychology, and all other branches of knowledge should be wholly and solely applied in the service of the Lord.
Read that again.
Therefore, all the sages and devotees of the Lord have recommended that the subject matter of art, science, philosophy, physics, chemistry, psychology, and all other branches of knowledge should be wholly and solely applied in the service of the Lord.
Okay, hold it right there. So, how is it that one could engage the topic of economics wholly in the service of the Lord? Any ideas? It doesn't have to be complete, well thought out or anything like that, but let's just see some ideas. First of all, what is economics anyway? It's the law of supply and demand. It's all about scarce resources, isn't it? Is that correct? Say more about it. You know what's going on.
Yeah, it just has to do with the way the world runs, and specifically the way you mentioned about scarcity and how there are limited supplies but unlimited desires.
Ah. You're sounding philosophical. Actually, it's a social science, isn't it?
Yes.
It's a little quantitative reasoning in there, but it's a social science. How so is it a social science?
It has to do with the way that firms sell goods and all of these different, I forgot the word is, sectors interact with consumers, businesses, firms, the government, etc.
Okay, now let's talk about economics. The social system economics. Does the world have it completely together right now as far as economics go? No. Do we have it together as a community as far as our economical systems go? What do you think? Is there room for improvement? Let me put it that way. I think that the way I put it was a little challenging. Is there room for improvement here?
Yes. Using
your learning in economics, what ideas would you generate to just starting with one community, a community of devotees dedicated to the principles of Bhagavad Gita, connecting everything with Krishna? How would you set up a think tank? What would you be talking about in ways to make this a better community using economic study, your knowledge and tools? Talk amongst yourselves. Here, make a little circle here. Just brainstorm it for a few seconds. We'll come back to you. Breakout room right over here. Go ahead. Figure it out and we'll get right back to you. Move in. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, to me, I was just going to quote how Manjula Kanta Mataji actually uses the thought of economics and accounts for Vedic Academy and now Bhagavad Seva. She would just tell that we're going to do Gita Champion. She will exactly calculate you have to charge this much because this much will go for juice, this much will go for food, this much will go for our, other snack stuff. And then she'll say, okay, yeah, so each kid will probably contribute about $6 to the Madan Mohan pocket. And I am a science student. Well, I don't even know if I'll do that right. But I was just looking at her, how do you know that if I charge $10, this goes? So her thought process of financing, I think, that made me think that, anybody who's into accounting or economics, they're able to make sure that we don't spend a lot unnecessarily, spend enough, and make sure that temple gets some good.
Okay.
Lakshmi back.
Okay, very practical. Our breakout room is broken back in. Let's see what they have to say.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so one of the examples that we thought of was just some like struggle that we face commonly, like on our regular programs. For example, knowing the proper amount of prasadam to make. A lot of times we have extra, which leads to a surplus amount or shortages. So using like the law of supply and demand, creating the right amount of prasadam so we use our resources properly without ever wasting the resources Krishna has given us.
This is an excellent point that you came up with. In fact, we were just reading about it in Giriraj Maharaj's new book. And there was a situation there in Bombay where they were making too much prasadam, and Prabhupada was just saying that the main point is you should learn how to make just enough. Could you use your quantitative skills to figure out exactly how much to make, possibly, or get closer? Okay, good. What other economic problems might we have considering it a social science within our small community here that could be solved through the science of economics?
Maybe if we have a farm or something, we can cultivate our own produce and supply it to the devotee community at least, so that, people out there like these vendors, and then they're all making money out of not quality produce, whereas we can, eat healthy and at the same time support the local farming.
Okay. It's not so easy, is it?
Yeah, it's not easy.
I mean, when I grow tomatoes, I figure they cost about $20 each when I make them. Some of the plants don't make it. Half the produce is eaten by little critters and things like that. Vrajananda Prabhu just graduated from the GBC College. He's been thinking about these things quite extensively. Let's hear what you have for us.
Hare Krishna. We've definitely talked a lot about this in GBC College. One of the things was having more...
Do they have SAT?
No.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think we all took SAT back in the day, though. One of the things that we talked about a lot was having more devotee-owned businesses. And there's a lot of ideas, of course. More prasadam distribution opportunities without, going into too much detail, but there's a project that they're trying to replicate a prasadam distribution, like a mobile restaurant model that many different temples or devotees could basically replicate. It's like a franchise or something like that. So basically like having opportunities for devotees to be able to serve more directly and also make money at the same time, and also fund different projects or different devotees who are doing a lot of seva, for example. One of the issues is a lot of devotees who want to serve full-time aren't able to do that because there might not be enough resources to fund them to do so. So that's one issue.
Writing all these things down. These are problems that you can solve.
Yeah. Actually, it's nice if the younger people can figure these things out.
Well, it's nice if when you're taking your classes, then you can look and say like, okay, how could I use ISV as a laboratory? You have a perfect place here where you can come in and use your leadership for all the different sciences that you're learning, and you can explore here. Everyone will give you carte blanche to experiment and see how you can apply these things, right? Okay, you might even get credit at university, I think. Special credit. Were you done, Raj? Okay, 1 second. We got a couple just in front of you, Adrian.
Yeah, I'm more or less done, but I just think that a lot of issues in devotee economy can be solved through having devotee-run businesses in general and keeping the money in-house as much as possible. The Mormons do a really good job of this. They have a lot of businesses, and they employ a lot of their people, and there's multi-million-dollar companies that come from this, and it's able to really, really help them in a big way. So, yeah, that's it.
We'd like to welcome Rajananda Prabhu and Kumari Saki, who have just moved to the Bay Area to express their spiritual entrepreneurialism. They're actually fully dedicated just to spreading Krishna consciousness, and they're going to be connecting with the San Francisco project to help spread Krishna consciousness in the Bay Area. Okay, go ahead. Okay.
Thank you all.
We have a couple more follow-ups here with this topic.
Prabhuji, I was thinking that we need education system like school
Okay.
here. That's a demand that we have, but we don't have enough devotee school here.
Okay.
Second thing is also housing. If we have a temple-owned housing or some properties that we could build around the temple, so that is something that would help devotees to attend
If
more
you want a
programs.
lot of problems in your life, develop devotee housing. Just putting a footnote in there as we go forward. Okay.
One of the things I always think about is how when Srila Prabhupada was on the planet, he inspired all the young youth who, just like yourself, just gave your life completely for the movement with no care about the future. And
So that's another approach, right?
so you can see how the movement expanded so rapidly when there was so much giving. So how do we facilitate that now, especially when...
Well, I give a testimonial. I mean, I've never worked. I have to admit, I've never really worked in my life at a job. I never took a job interview. And I've never felt unstable. I'm just saying. Of course, there's always this balancing act going on. Like, how do I get stable? I mean, how do you know when you're actually stable? That's one thing. But the less you need or want, and the more that you're dedicated giving Krishna, then you don't feel unstable. Because if you want more, no matter how much you get, you still feel unstable. Because I'm only making $1 million a year, and these other guys, they're making like $10 million a year. I'm a total loser, and plus, it's not enough, because how am I going to maintain? You can incrementally increase your material needs, and social studies have shown. Do you know about these? The hierarchy of needs? Yeah, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And there are actually studies that show once you get to a certain level of stability, you have enough money for your shelter and the basic needs in life, that more money doesn't actually help you. And so stability is relative, but it can become an endless endeavor in the material world. So from your point about devotees who had the fortune of being in kind of that window of opportunity in the 60s and 70s, where the mood was, Tyakva Sudharmam Charanam Bhujam Hare. Just, and people were not necessarily for Krishna consciousness, but for anything. The mantra was drop out and try to tune in to something higher. At that time, it was, peace and love. But how that would be manifest is another thing. Lucky thing that there was an opportunity to express that renunciation of the material world by going into Krishna consciousness. But I could testify that I never felt unstable even when I didn't have money. And I didn't for many years. We didn't, as brahmacharis, keep anything. At that time, if you needed something, you just asked the temple treasurer, can I have a toothbrush? And they would arrange it through a lot of red tape. And then in our Grihastha ashram, Nirakula and I, of course, she's put in great effort with her business. She's very entrepreneurial. I had a business for 10 years that didn't require me to stop doing other things in the meantime. But, we struggled along, but never really struggled. We just, we've always felt stable. What do you think, Nirakula? Can you extrapolate on that? Want to give any details?
We've always been taken care of by Krishna. Sometimes, we don't know how it will come about, and but Krishna has always provided more than I could have imagined. I mean, we're not mega wealthy or anything, but we're in one sense, but we're very wealthy in another sense.
Right. So there's this balancing point too. It's not like we didn't try, and we didn't try to put our ducks in a row financially. We did our due diligence, but we kind of just kept doing our service, and then whatever would happen. So I think there's a balance point too, as far as stability goes, making sure that you do everything that you can do that's available to you without over-endeavoring. What's the verse in the Upadeshamrita about over-endeavoring? Let the record show that they're quoting from the Upadeshamrita. Achahara priyashascha. Which of the words is it about over-endeavor? Priyashas. Can you say more about it? Because you jumped into that very enthusiastically. Actually, exhibiting utsahan. Go ahead.
Sometimes we do things at the expense of our spiritual sadhana. Sometimes we, at the expense of our health, our personal relationships, family and things. So there should be endeavor, and we should be Krishna conscious while endeavoring for it. But we should also ensure we will be Krishna conscious during our endeavors only if we put, only if we have a strong hold of our sadhana. So
this is a good point. I mean, first of all, Bhagavatam says that if you are able to achieve everything that you want, Prabhu quoted it this morning, I think, that don't try so hard for things that are going to come pretty much automatically by karma. How's the verse start? Tasyaiva heto prayate takovido nalabhyate yad brahmatam upariyada talabhyate dukkha varanyata sukham sarvatra kalena abhiramasa. There's a way, kalena means by destiny. Because of our past momentum, there are certain things that are going to come to us, and no matter how hard you try economically to put everything in order, pretty much you're going to get what you get. Otherwise, everyone would be a billionaire, right? So remember that. That's a balancing point Narada gives us, and Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, be balanced, yuktahara viharasya. But your point, don't over-endeavor for things that are very difficult to attain. So there's a kind of balance point. You take care of your economic position and all the other social things too. We can't also neglect our relationships for the sake of being a renunciate, especially if you're a grihastha. Maybe a sannyasi can get away with it and like not be socially integrated as much, but definitely grihasthas, we have to take care of the emotional needs of everybody in our family, right? Say yes. And simultaneously, we have to keep up our devotional practice, and it can't be at the expense of our stability or all the other kinds of duties that we have to do in our life. What do you think? Okay? Yes, Adrian, you were going to say something.
How many people here think Wall Street, how many people here have a bad sentiment about Wall Street people? Or
Have
just
what?
money in general? A bad sentiment. Bad sentiment. Like, how many people think Wall Street is bad?
How many
Nobody?
people here think Wall Street is bad? This is an
Wall
experiment.
Street. Wall Street people.
So you have to vote now.
Yeah. Hands up,
And you
Wall
can't
Street's
use
bad.
the little Zoom thing anymore because you're in the room now. You
So-
actually have to raise your hand. You can't push the button. Okay, how many here think that Wall Street is bad? Raise your hand. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Don't be afraid. Raise your hand if you
shy. Be
don't like
truthful.
Wall Street.
All right, that's
4, 5, 6. We've got 6 people that don't like it.
So, I hate to use the term our forefathers, but a system has been created for us that allows you to extract wealth, fiat currency. And fiat currency, fiat means like by law, by dictation. They create more money out of thin air. Actually, they print it. And so
You know
Wall
about
Street
this? You're right.
and things like
You know that?
the stock market, commodity pools, hedge funds are set up to actually finance governments. Like, for example, Saudi Arabia has a sovereign fund that is used to finance projects, development projects in Saudi Arabia. And so the Bhakti community or the Krishna consciousness community could benefit from thinking like Wall Street. We could invest in things like stocks and ETFs, which, produce 10 to 20% of growth year over year. There's also more highly volatile instruments like commodities and futures, things on like currencies, for example. And so it's actually pretty easy if you know what's the word I'm looking for? If you know that science, the finance system, and you just take time to learn some basic fundamentals, you can actually extract wealth from the market from almost nothing. And a lot of us who've been working for many years, have a 401k or something along those lines, have experienced this firsthand. So my suggestion is for the Bhakti community or the Krishna consciousness community is to kind of think like Wall Street gurus, because it gives us more time to practice devotion and to spread the Krishna consciousness. And it allows us to make more money, which will enable us to perpetuate that in the material world, right? The book printing is a costly endeavor, I'm sure. I'm sure it costs the agency money.
I know Malini's smiling because he's thinking book distribution futures. I think these are excellent points. There are ways that there are well-trained economists and entrepreneurs who go around the world and figure out how to develop microeconomies. You're aware of these things? Like in other countries, sometimes they empower groups of women in various countries to develop their own businesses, and they got these microeconomies going, and then there's a multiplier effect when you do these things. You know about the multiplier effect, right? So then, it expands outwardly. And so this verse that we're reading from in the Bhagavatam, in which Narada Muni says, idam hi pumsam tapsasa shutasya vashvistasya suktasya chabuddhi dateyo. All of our faculties and careers everything can be utilized for the highest cause, which is serving Vishnu. There's a way in which in history, philosophy and religion and economics and everything were married, and then they got a divorce at some point. And we came into this age of reason where it's like, okay, you guys are over here, we're over here, and then there's this big bloody fight. But actually the two of them go together. Prabhupada used to say that religion without philosophy is sentiment, and philosophy without religion is mental speculation. The two have to go together. Like one of Prabhupada's godbrothers, who was very poetical and brilliant scholars, once said, "They have ruined the moon." They have ruined the moon. What did he mean by that? The scientists said, "Oh, the moon is just a planet and this and that," but it's just dirt and so forth. You objectify it to the point, and looking at it in such a way that it becomes meaningless. How many poems are there about the moon? How many ways in which does one feel the moon represents our love for one thing or another? That's as real as the objective observation of the moon. Actually, it's more real, because that's what we respond to in every aspect of our life. And so the point is, you can't divorce the two things. Otherwise, you basically don't have any fulfillment in life. So there's a way to use every science, every study, every endeavor in Krishna's service. And we are active. Every one of us has a nature to engage. Govindacharan Prabhu brought this up from the Bhagavad Gita, that we have a subhava. And so our nature has to be engaged. Otherwise, we're not just dead stones. We can't just renounce the world, become sannyasis, and walk off into the sunset. So everything, however, should be used in Krishna's service. And some of the ideas that you're bringing up, just starting on a smaller level, prasadam, how to regulate it. Adrian Prabhu brought up all these really great ideas about, developing an internal economic system. Rajananda Prabhu also mentioned it, that there are other groups that have thought long and hard about that. For instance, one of the ways I was thinking about it is that, what if there was a more clear transitional point for young people in our community, where there's more training, so there's an on-ramp into the world of there's studies plus Krishna consciousness, and also kind of an economic support. Like we have a network, so they don't have to go off and look for work somewhere else. There's a way within our own organization that we can do that. You're nodding your head. Please say more about it. There's utsahan. Wherever we see utsahan, we find auspiciousness.
I mean, if you work for bigger companies, like their goal is to make money for themselves. Whereas, if you work in a, say, devotee-run company, even though they are doing the same thing as to, science or math or whatever, computer science, but then, their goal is to serve Krishna, serve the movement. So the whole atmosphere is much different. So if there are such companies and businesses owned by devotees, and it's easy for the youth to be absorbed there, and they can still maintain their, Krishna consciousness.
Rajananda is he's giving approval. Sounds of satisfaction and a thumbs up. Okay, I'd like to just get final feedback from our representative sample of Vaishnavs who are making a transitional point. It's very interesting for me to watch this whole process and see what's going to happen, because, obviously you're all so important to us, and we kind of want to hear what you're thinking. What do you think about this transition and what the whole conversation today? Are any parts of this relevant, usable in your life? Just going in this direction in the discussion. You don't have to say anything. Don't think you have to say anything brilliant. Just reflect back.
Shivatsa, do you want to go first? Okay. Okay, I can go.
Just expound. Be yourself and say what's on your mind.
Okay, so I really enjoyed this purport and how relevant it was. So thank you for choosing this purport specifically. Overall, about the transition, I do think it's very important to use everything in Krishna's service. And like before, that was a phrase that's like, that I thought was very easily tossed around, just tie it back to Krishna, use it in Krishna's service. But really thinking about it, our goal is to establish a personal relationship with Krishna and make him happy by using whatever we have in his service. So the same way that like parents are pleased when children use like their allowance to buy them a gift, or an art teacher is happy when their like first student paints them a painting. By us using the resources we have to offer something to Krishna, that makes him the most happy because it's that same gift being given back to him.
Thank you very much. Nice. Any other thoughts? Okay. Shivatsa. He's got a mic. Give him one from the back row.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. This purport reminded me a lot about Notpade Dyadiratim Shrama Eva Hi Kevalam, about how if my activities are not ultimately leading me to be attracted to Krishna, it's ultimately going to be useless labor. And I was thinking about how, like, using everything in the service of Krishna, I've got to constantly be remembering Krishna in order to do that. Or else it's so easy to fall into this trap of thinking that I am going to enjoy the fruits of this labor, or I'm doing this for this certain material desire. And I was reflecting recently over the last couple of days, and I told only a couple of friends about it, about how it's so easy to say that, like, I care about Krishna consciousness, or I'm trying my best to get prema, but in reality, I'm not actually putting my heart and soul into it and making it a personal thing. And I was thinking about how love is in the details, and how when someone does those small things for you, or is really able to like get into the details of things, you know that they actually really care. And I was thinking about how, as you say, like, yogis are as sensitive as an eyeball, and how if I'm able to make my spiritual life super like meticulous and really get into the details and show Krishna that, like, I actually care about you, that I really want to do this, and that it's not like an external thing anymore. It's not something that's just there for like I guess like making a show. That I want to I want to get everything right this time. It really will go a very long way, and that doesn't only work for like my strictly like practices like japa. It also works for practices like studying for midterms and so on.
Thank you for giving your thought process. Very helpful. Okay, we'll just take two last reflections from anywhere in the room. Anybody would like to make about anything we said today? 1, 2. Okay.
Maharaj, as you're saying about economics, I was actually thinking about how we invest into devotees. And as we do that, the results will come eventually, the financial results. Of how I remember how you started Make Japa Great Again. It's such a intellectual thought process to start it. I mean, we don't have to understand to participate, but once we started participating, we can see the results for ourselves. We feel the inspiration to do more service. The quality of service increases, the quantity of service increases. And other examples, of course, we see how children are growing up to be wonderful devotees. So I was thinking more programs like that, where we are not thinking about the end result, immediate end result. Of course, we have a goal we want to get out of, but investing with a vision of long-term vision. So I was just thinking of more programs like that. So that would be
okay. Yeah, like we talk about return on attention. What are we investing our attention into? Where do we get the best return on that? Thank you, Prabhu. Okay, Radhakripa Prabhu for the close. Except for, when we get the chance, right after that, I want to hear from Kumari Saki and find out why she came here.
Hare Krishna, Guru.
I want to hear what's on your mind. Okay, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much for picking this special topic. In the Bay Area, right now we see, the economy or the way that things are, the salaries are hitting the roof, the housing market. But I think there is a lot of, I was linking the greed. Greed is a bad deal. We think greed is bad. But if we repurpose the same greed to earn more, to give back more, I think then we can spiritualize everything to that sense. So I felt like sometime not utilizing your talent or service because we thought it's over-enduring. But if we over-endure, but for the bigger purpose, I think that greed is justified. So I really felt good after hearing today's lecture and the purport. Thank you.
That's a good point. I'm glad you mentioned that because we're on the biggest marathon for distributing sets of Bhagavatams that we've ever done. Our goal is to distribute at least 2,000 sets of Bhagavatams before we get to September 20th. And we also, this weekend, have a goal to have at least 300 devotees go on book distribution. So please be greedy towards these goals. And let's employ what Radhakripa Prabhu said. And we'll need to, everyone needs to do a tiny little bit. That's all. At least a tiny little bit to do your part for, number one, distributing actively some books. Possible? Okay, and number two is we need to sponsor and distribute at least 2,000 sets of Bhagavatams. Possible? Yes. Just say yes a little louder. Yes. Yeah, and you can clap too. Okay. We're fascinated, Kumari Saki. We heard a little bit from Braj earlier, and could you tell us, so the devotees get to know who you are and your presence here in the Bay Area? What are you thinking?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I'm just really appreciating how wonderfully you've been facilitating this very enlivening and productive discussion. So thank you, first of all. But yeah, I tend to think very systematically and practically. So I'm thinking about what Brajananda was saying and what you were saying and maybe what other devotee was saying and kind of combining these thoughts to keep things in-house and to have devotee businesses and then to think about the future of our youth and to somehow make a log. Like, there are so many talented and successful people in this room, I can only imagine. And so why not have some sort of log and system where, okay, this devotee is expert in real estate, this person is a doctor, this person is whatever, and have some sort of log and then connect the people, I'm interested in learning about this. Who in my community, who is right here that I can learn from, that I can get to know this business for myself and try to figure out if it really is for me. And then it kind of takes this transitional period like you were mentioning, and it's not like you're being thrown out into the world. You're actually having a devotee who is trained and successful, guiding you and helping you and showing you the ropes. So I think it would be really interesting to have that in this community and all communities, really, to have that.
What will we call that project? What's the name of it? Go ahead.
We can brainstorm.
No, just give us one now. Any name of the project. You can help too because you're in the thick of it. Project, just a working title, doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, it's called, Adrian gave, Project Banyan Tree.
That's the cool name. Project Future Vairagya.
Future Vairagya. That could be the byline. So Project Banyan Tree has extrapolate a little more? Future, what you mean?
Well, I was thinking Yukta Vairagya, to use everything in Krishna's service and kind of just playing on words.
Okay, it's a project, somebody write it down, Project Banyan Tree, and then using everything and everything and every skill in Krishna's service, just a working title. And the branding, we can see, the tree, networking, and it shows the different branches here, economics, computer science, for psychology, Dr. Anushri, I forgot to ask you, did you say? They don't what?
It's okay, you don't have to know yet.
She's in middle school. Okay. All right, good. Thank you for inaugurating our project. Haribo, 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 Haribo. Okay, and Malini, what else? Tell us what we've won.
Prabhuji, today is the day when we break free from lockdown and we are all going out on Sankirtana.
It was Independence Day.
Yes, Prabhu. And we have tables set up in different places, one in Cupertino, Fremont, then in East Bay as well. And we have other spots which will be posted on the Weekend Warriors. So we wanted devotees to distribute at least one book to be counted towards the Bhaktivinoda Thakur MSF offering on July 11th. So we wanted to have at least 300 devotees participate. And yesterday there was so much of enthusiasm. It was so nice to see devotees out distributing books along with kids. So request is today we will have a table outside. If you need books, at least one book you can carry with you and distribute it to anybody you like. And just report in before July 10th so we can count you in the marathon. That's it.
Haribo. I'd like to sponsor one set of Bhagavatams for the Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And I was happy to be the first one because we'll have more opportunity to sponsor Bhagavatams coming up. Don't worry, you'll get your chance. We'll make an environment in which everyone can feel like you just pour that ghee into the fire and feel satisfied. Okay? And then now we have, yes?
Prabhu, Sukeshwari.
I would like to sponsor a set of Bhagavatam, Prabhu, on the most important occasion that Srivatsa got his license and he started driving now. So he can take people on Sankirtan.
Always wear your safety belt, please. I know it's controversial. It used to be anyway. Okay. Yes?
Prabhu, I would like to sponsor one set of Bhagavatam because Gita Priya said that in future she will she'll use her profession to give Lakshmi.
That must be advance payment from Gita Priya.
Good. Got momentum and an acknowledgement and a blessing. Okay, Bhaktivatsal. Super good and getting better. Better than I deserve.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So I will donate $1,000 for the distribution of the Bhagavatams.
Haribo! That's a lot. That's a huge asset. Wow, Vishakalila, good to see you. Please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
I want to sponsor 5 sets of Bhagavatam, and I will distribute it by September. I have some clients who I think will be interested. So whatever donation comes from them will also be added to that.
Sadhu, sadhu. Haribo. Well, that is really beautiful. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Okay. Now, uh-oh.
Just one set, Maharaj.
Yes. One set. Radhakripa Prabhu. One set of Bhagavatams. Haribo. Yes?
Prabhuji, I just wanted to announce that last year we had sets that we could ship it to all our friends, relatives, family members in India. And by the intense endeavor from the BBT marketing team and His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu, we have developed a process where now we are opening our shipping of Srimad Bhagavatam sets to India back again. So,
Haribo. It's called NAIFTA. You remember NAFTA? NAFTA? North American Free Trade Agreement. This is called North America-India Free Trade Agreement. NAIFTA. And Damodar Vamsidhari Prabhu is just so service-oriented and brilliant. And, we put him up to the task, and it was a onerous task. There was a lot of lawyers involved and negotiations between continents and everything like that. And he was stellar in the way he did it. So Damodar Prabhu is doing amazing service for ISV, even as he's living in India. Haribol. Now, speaking of doing amazing service, we have our very own Jai Madhava Prabhu and Pavani Bhakti, who have been kind of quietly behind the scenes developing a juggernaut of outreach, which is reaching ever and ever newer heights. Newer and newer heights every week. More people coming in and taking shelter online of the Bhakti community. Soon it will also be in person. And Jai Madhava Prabhu, can you make a couple of announcements about how things are going? I'm just guessing that you might have a little news.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'll share my screen and walk through a couple of updates of Bhakti community.
Talk about being prepared, right?
If I can begin sharing permission, please.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
So as you know, Bhakti community is an online community primarily focused on introducing Bhakti Yoga to newcomers to ISKCON. And so whenever you go out and give books, please do introduce Bhakti community as well, so that they get an Sangha online where the community can help them encourage and make progress by learning Bhakti Yoga.
This is algebra, you see. Books plus Bhakti community equals Bhakta. That's on the SATs.
So this week we are very excited and happy to announce that ISKCON community, which is an extension of Bhakti community, on behalf of BBT, has officially launched the Sankirtana app.
Sadhu, sadhu. Bravo.
So our own Kautukan Prabhu gave a test, like he used the app real time. So let's take a quick look at his video. I'm hoping.
Hello everyone, Hare Krishna. My name is Katha Das. I am representing Temple of ISKCON of Silicon Valley. I am on book distribution for Western Sankirtan group. We have goals for this MSF, which is the Bhaktivinoda Thakur MSF. So in order to fulfill those book points, we are doing traveling Sankirtan. So this weekend, 3 of us, we are out to Sequoia National Park. We did that yesterday. We distributed hundreds of books there, around 300 books. And today we are in Fresno. Right now I'm standing in Fresno's Walmart. So you can see here I'm standing in front of Walmart, and it has a lot of activity going on right now. So this is my cart, and this is how I set up my books here. I have a packet of books, like 3 books. We call it Trimurti set. There is Bhagavad Gita, Higher Taste, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. We also have Science of Self-Realization. So these are the different packages that we distribute. You can see this one. So now I distributed few books. So I want to update that into our Sankirtan dashboard so that it can be updated to the global scores. So let me show you the Sankirtan portal. This is I'm sharing my screen, so you can see this is the dashboard. And this is the ISKCON top 10. Right now there is only ISKCON of Silicon Valley. We are looking for more temples to join. And here, this is the filter. I enter the year 2021. I enter the MSF, which is MSF of Buy the Bhajan Stock Now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And I choose the group, Silicon Valley, RST. So I apply the filter, and now I collapse the filter. So you can see this is the goal for our Sankirtan MSF. Book points 10,800. It also shows the actual point which we have covered, 2,527 and 75, 2,527.75. And we don't have any Lakshmi goals, but this also covers the Lakshmi collected. So you can see that on the screen. And now on the bottom, you can see this is Silicon Valley. This is the total score for this MSF. How many Mahabig books were distributed, how many book points they have, big books and their corresponding points, large, medium, small, and the total Lakshmi that was collected. So this is the dashboard. And now I'm going to make an entry to this Sankirtan app. So I go to the menu and I select book distribution. So here you can see there are transactions which I have already entered. There are already 4 transactions. Silicon Valley, Western Sankirtan. I represent Western Sankirtan group. These are the books that were distributed, book points, the Lakshmi that was collected, the date on which it was entered, and the status. So active status means it is already uploaded to the global dashboard. Draft means it is still not submitted. So I am going to enter a new transaction now. Add book distribution. This is a quick menu. I am going to just enter the date, which is 13th of June. I am going to select my group, select Silicon Valley Western Sankirtan group. I'm going to choose the amount. I collected $20 for these books. I distributed 3 Spanish meditation books, 3 Science of Self-Realization, 3 Higher Taste, and 3 Bhagavad Gita. So this is very easy. I can just choose minus or plus, so it's very easy to enter. And now you can see the book points are automatically calculated. The number of books are all automatically calculated. Here, this is the book distributor details. I'm going to choose my name, Kautukarnava Das. I can add other distributors if there are other devotees. And then photos, any photos from the book distribution. And then I have to select this consent to share the above information. So I select it and then I save it. Once I save it, it will be accepted as a global submission. So book distribution added successfully. You can see this is the first transaction, small book Spanish, 1125, that's book points, Lakshmi $20, date to date, and status is pending. And it will take a few minutes for this to be rolled up to the global numbers. I will pause here to show you how it is uploaded. Let me stop. Pause here. Recording. So I'm sharing my screen. After a few minutes of entering my data, you can see here that the status has been changed to active. Now that means the book points have been rolled up to the global numbers. So I can go back and check the global numbers on the left menu. Sankirtan dashboard. So I select period, MSF, and temple, Silicon Valley, and then I apply the filter. So now you can see it was earlier 2700 something. Now, it was earlier book points were around 2520 something. So now this is 2539. And Lakshmi was 1462, now it is 1482. And we can see this is the global numbers total for the Silicon Valley temple and the total Lakshmi. So this is how we can update. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Hello everyone.
Hello. Yeah. The team has been working on this for past 2 years, and I really want to thank the team, including Mayapur Shashi Prabhu, who has been working for 35 years since beginning, I guess. And he has been very helpful. He has been guiding us throughout in every step. I want to also thank Vinod Prabhu, Ballav Prabhu, Santosh Prabhu, Suyesh Prabhu, Mansi Mataji, Jain Prabhu, Pranav Prabhu. All of them have been working throughout, and special thanks to all the advisors and guides and that they have guided us throughout, including Vaisesika Maharaj, Shyama Mani Mataji, Anukul Seva Prabhu, Malini Mataji, SKP Prabhu, Shri Gopal Prabhu, Kautukarna Prabhu, and Krishna Prabhu as well. Special thanks to Kautukarna Prabhu. He was live. There were lots of things going on that day in Walmart, but he still was patient enough to take the video and share it with us. And we shared it with the BBT executives a few weeks ago, and they were really happy to see the progress. So on the next, after Silicon Valley, the next North American rollout is going to start. So we'll be, Toronto and Los Angeles have come forward. So we'll roll this app out to them. And Sankirtan app is connected with Bhakti Community app, which means whenever a book is distributed and a contact is entered, automatically they'll be added to Bhakti Community as a lead. So they'll be introduced about Bhakti Community so that they can, if they want to, they can join and take advantage of the online programs, as well as it has a member management system, so that can be used to then create different communities and keep track of them and follow up. So that's Sankirtan app launch for North America. On Bhakti Community, the Bhakti Circle program is really going well. We have got lots of good feedback. The upcoming session 5, would touch upon moods and modes. I do want to thank all the leaders who have been leading the various breakout rooms, which has been tremendously beneficial. So some of the reflection from the Bhakti Circle program, this is from Prem Saro Prabhu, a Western Contacts shared that Prabir, the session this evening was exactly what I needed. and have been missing. Thank you so much for inviting me to take part. And Sundaran Prabhu again has been leading the sessions as well as bringing in new contacts he shared from a Western contact. It was indeed Vaish vibration even started an earthquake. I felt it about 20 seconds after he said about it. So thank you, Sundaran Prabhu. And as always, we have several opportunities of service within Bhakti community. So please do reach out in case you are interested. All types of services are available. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
In the mid-70s, Shruti Prabhu, my godbrother, started the Sankirtana newsletter, World Sankirtana newsletter. It took a year before it was adopted. You can see in my book, Our Family Business, the chronology of that and how it took Prabhupada writing a letter to the entire society saying, I'm reading this, it's very important to me. And now this is a global effort, but it was led by Jai Madhava Prabhu. He took it, and amidst all the other things he's doing, among all the other things he's doing, while he's doing so many things, he's accomplished this. It's no less than erecting a skyscraper building or something, building an app. It was thousands of hours spent negotiating this and working with various engineers around the world that he was able to achieve it. So this will have repercussions and benefits for decades to come for starting this, and our deepest gratitude to you for taking so much service and making it look easy. You always have an attitude of cooperation and tolerance towards everybody that's working on your teams. Thank you very much. I just have one last thing to say. Sharirad vijaja jyotendriya tahika jibe pele vishaya shagare tarma dedi boyati loba moisu durmati take jeta katita samsare Krishna Bodha doyamoy Gori bare jihwa jai Shaprasad Annadi lobai Shayanamrita pao Radha Krishna Gunagao Preme Dako Shri Chaitanya Nitai Preme Dako Shri Chaitanya Nita Mahaprasade Govinde Nama Brahmani Vaishnave Sapapunya Vitam Rajan Vishwaso Navijayate Prasade Sarvadikanam Hani Rasya Upajayate Prasanna Chetaso Yashu Bhutparya Vritishtate Tvayopa Bhukta Straganda Vasulanka Charchita Utishta Bojino Dasas Tavamayam Jayemahi Bhagavat Shri Mahaprasadiki Gaur Premanande Nitai Gaura Haribo 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 Nitai Gaur Haribo. After all that, there better be prasadam. Is there prasadam? Okay. Oh, Avantika, please tell us who's in the, what direction is that? North? No, that's west? East? what's going on in the eastern wing of our community.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Today's prasadam was cooked by Bhakta Vatsal Prabhu, Kailash Prabhu, and Harita Mataji.
Haribol! Please come take prasadam. Haribol. Vanchakalpadrubhishcha kripasinabhe vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha nantakudi vaishnaviniki jai.
The recording has stopped.